Cody, Southeast Softwash, sitting out here in the truck because it's about the only place I have that I can mount my phone to the rear view mirror. And it's at least quiet outside, and the sun is, I put the sunroof back on my old truck here so I'd have some better lighting, but that means the sun is right in this eyeball. So I'm gonna put my sunglasses on for this video. But I want to get you guys this video out today because I'm hoping it'll help some of the new guys. We had somebody pick up late last week and they came back to the shop today and got some more bleach and some more chems. I want to say they picked up a mini skid. I don't know. I didn't meet this guy, so it's good that I didn't, because I'm not throwing this at him. I do, however, hope he watches this video, because my brother was telling me that he came back to get some bleach. Today's Monday, and so he only had the skid over the weekend, and he was saying, dude, I got my skid Friday and I've already made some money with it, and we love to hear that. But he said he had to come back and get bleach already because he had used it all. Now, he filled up on Friday, and that's a super mini, so that's a 50-gallon-ish little, you know, right at 50 gallons capacity. That's a lot. That's a whole barrel's worth of bleach. And what this tells me, and according to what I heard, the tale of the tape was he'd only did one house and it took him a long time to do it, and he was stoked. But I think he probably knew he was burning through bleach way too fast. And I wanted to get you guys, while it's on my mind and it's a good topic, because there's tons of new guys and even some of the older veterans, we can always learn, right? There is a art to spraying a house. Now, if you're doing a house wash, whether that's vinyl siding or hardy plank, or say a commercial metal building, anything like that, you should use roughly around the same total volume of bleach on those jobs for doing the walls, okay? When we say a house wash, we're talking about the walls of the structure. We're not talking about the roof. We're not talking about the flat work. That's what, in the industry, the lingo house wash, it refers to cleaning the walls, all right? Doors, windows, walls, siding, all that good stuff. It also generally is used to kind of refer to a ballpark percentage that will effectively clean those vertical surfaces. Now, your flat work's different. That's going to require a surface cleaner, obviously, pressure, and a treatment. If you're going to do it right, you're going to pre-treat or possibly post-treat, and that's at a different percentage. When you clean a roof, those have its own, can't speak. A roof has its own kind of range of percentages as well, and those are much hotter yields because a roof is not a wall, right? So we'll think about when the walls get wet when it rains. Typically, they don't get that wet anyway because you've got an overhang and it's keeping it mostly dry. But when water does hit it from the rain, it runs off. It's a vertical surface, so it's going to be the least dirty of things that we clean. Also, on things like vinyl, that's a slick surface, all right? It's a smooth, like this glass right here. The organics can't really grow into that. Now, let's change that up and say it's stucco, all right? Well, now you've got all these pores and nooks and crannies, and the pattern in the stucco will allow your organics to grow more effectively and take a foothold. So usually when you're cleaning something like stucco or brick or anything porous, you'll bump up that house wash mixture, and you might be into the upper 2s or low 3% range for something like that. We have a little cheat sheet over on the website, guys. Head over to this website, southeastsoftwash.com. There's links down below. We are running a March Madness sale right now, and we're going to be running that for a little while. It's just to help, you know, save you some money. Everybody's heading over to the site. Tons of people buying stuff every day. So head over and get you what you need. But we've got a little cheat sheet ratio chart sticker. It's like $10. It's got all those ratios broke down, and you can stick it somewhere where you can use it as kind of a reference or a cliff notes. But what this guy did is he used like 50 gallons of bleach on a 3-bed, 2-bath house wash. Typically on those houses in that 2,200 square feet up to 2,500 square feet range, regular house, right? If it's vinyl siding, guys, just as a rule of thumb, Cody's going to use probably about 6 gallons of SH, okay? And that can vary, but I'm just saying, if you're putting out 20-something gallons, you know that ain't right, all right? If you're putting out some crazy number, you need to be around 5 to 8 gallons or something, because your average, I'm looking at my house right here, my gable wall is not very big. And so I'm not even going to use a gallon on that wall. Very little. My long wall here on the front of the house is pretty long. It's a lot of stuff going on. So I'd probably wind up using, 3 or 4 gallons, getting around and coating everything. Same thing on the back. But then that opposite gable end over there is going to be a freebie again, just maybe half a gallon or so. Whether you're downstreaming or using a dedicated soft wash system, you should be consuming about the same amount of bleach. 2 years ago, I did an apartment complex in Roanoke that we've cleaned several times, and that's 11 buildings. They're really easy buildings, but still 11 buildings of an apartment complex. And I think I used, it was either 27 gallons or 32 gallons. I don't remember. It was right at 30. For some reason, those two numbers are stuck in my mind. But let's call it, I know it was around 30 gallons because I put like 50 in the tank at the shop, and when I came back, I had right at 20 gallons left over. So think about that. If Cody can clean 11 apartment complex buildings and he's using 30 gallons, right? And I'm not like, it's not on my mind to try to use as little as possible, but that's just sort of your veteran guy knowing what he's doing. So extrapolate that back. If you're washing and you're new, you shouldn't be using tons of bleach, guys. And it is a big no-no to use that much bleach. Number one reason is you're wasting money, right? You're burning through chems 4 or 5 times faster than you should be. Number two reason is you got a much higher chance of property damage on vegetation and electrical stuff because you're spraying such a more concentrated mixture coming out of the gun. So that's a big no-no. You just got a general overall more likelihood of screwing something up. So we want to use, no matter if it's house, roof, drop, whatever it is, when you spray an egg, your goal is to be surgical, precise, and use just as much as you need to be efficient and get in and get out. I'm not going to go any slower. I'm not going to dial it down to the point where I'm slowing the job down, but I'm going to go and use as little bleach as possible. Okay, so if you're downstreaming, when you're downstreaming, it's going to be baked into the downstream injector. If you're using a dedicated soft wash system, you should have your surfactant on a low value, mix your surfactant correctly so that you've got the right strength in the tank, and then use your metering valve, sort of in the lower 1/3 or so is kind of what way we do it. And then on your batch buster, if you're using ours for your bleach value, put it on 1 or 1.5. It's made into the valve, so you kind of know where you need to dial your valve to. That's sort of way number one you can screw up is having your valve turned way open for who knows why, right? Maybe you just don't know what the hell you're doing. Water should be wide open, and we're going to meter in chem, surfactant, and bleach according to what we need for that job. If it's a roof cleaning, we're going to crank it up. If it's stucco, brick, something really nasty, you may go to middle, 3% or so, and bump your soap up accordingly. So that's the number one way, is guys just have the valves set wrong. Number two way, and this is very common as well, is you're brand new and they don't know what the right spraying technique looks like. And so they'll if they've got a trigger gun, they'll squeeze the gun all the way, which gets them the pencil stream, and they're just laying it to it like it's a pencil stream, a laser cannon. But that's for your reach. That's for when you need to hit a peak, or you need to knock off a dirt dauber nest, some agitation. You need the distance shot. But 90% of what you're doing, you should be on that cone sprayer, that fan sprayer. If you're using a traditional wand, make sure you've got your fan tip in for as much of that job as possible, or go up as high, reach as high as you can with that fan tip. That's going to do a lot for you as far as increasing the coverage you get per gallon, and that means you're consuming less. Also, it's going to aerate your mix a lot more, which activates the soap. It causes it to suds up a lot more and stick more, okay? And then keep your hand moving. It's like painting a car. All we got to do is get this whole wall wet. But I see a lot of dudes, they'll stand there, man, they just start at the bottom and they just laying it to it. And they'll picture they're on the gable end of a house. By the time they get to the peak, man, they've been spraying on that wall, constant running on a pencil stream for, 7 or 8 solid minutes. Okay, well, that dude, like, the whole ground is saturated. I can apply chem to a gable end of a house, just a typical standard house, right? Pick that easy gable end is kind of what's in your mind's eye. And dude, I'll spray that whole damn thing down, and there's not even any runoff really coming away from the foundation. It's just wet right at the foundation. We'll have guys in the class, they'll say, and look, while I'm talking about the class, if you don't know this shit, you need to go get that training, okay? Go to the site, get the digital form. There's a bunch of them. We got a couple of digital classes on there, how to actually wash. We've got a couple, but then you can come take it in person. And if you're brand new, it's worth it. We've got the next one coming up March 21st, 22nd. Those links are down below on the website as well. I think we've got about 6 seats left to that class. But if you don't know what you're doing on the technique, they'll say, hey, how do you keep all that runoff from getting to the street? And I'm like, dude, if you're washing a house, I mean, I don't have runoff on a house wash get this far away from the wall. So it doesn't go way out into the road. Like, it's never going to even really get to the lawn necessarily. When you're cleaning a roof, yeah, because you're putting it all up there and the gutter's catching it, putting it at one spot. And then you may have a long streak of runoff. But that's fine because we can mitigate and we can manage that. We know that that's what's going to happen. But on a house wash setting, guys, when you're washing siding, any type of siding, I've got the vertical board and batten here on my house. It cleans up really easy. You shouldn't be using more than, let's call it a 2,500 square foot house with a 2-car garage. You should be well under 10 gallons of bleach. Okay, so number one way you do that is have your valves. If you're using a dedicated soft wash system, have your valves set correctly. Don't crank it wide open now. Just a little bit, a dab will do ya on a house wash, all right? If you're downstreaming, it's going to be baked in automatically with the downstream injector, but keep your hand moving. Just get it wet and repeat after me. If it's wet, it's working. Don't go back and put second coats. I hardly ever put second coats on a house wash. It's got to be show enough a nasty, nasty house that ain't been cleaned in ages for me to have to go back and reapply a little section. And sometimes it does happen. But I think a lot of dudes, they like spraying. And so they just go ham on it, and they're burning through, 30, 40 gallons of bleach on a house wash. That's absolutely crazy. You can damn near do a whole subdivision with a barrel of bleach. That should get you like mini. We used to, when we were on the truck full time, we would look at the schedule on a Monday. We still got bleach left over from last week. Kind of look at the tank like, okay, we got 36 gallons of 12% in the bleach tank. All right, well, what do we got on the schedule for Monday and Tuesday? Oh, it's nothing but house washes. Okay, well, hell, we're good. We wouldn't even bother going by our shop and filling up the bleach tank again. Now, if we had a roof in there or some stucco or something, yeah, because you're going to burn through a lot more chemical on a roof cleaning, which is why we charge so much more on a roof cleaning. It's a different thing. We know our ratio is going to be much higher. So, guys, I hope that helps. If you don't know, if all this is like going over your head, you can learn it. You can figure it out on your own, okay? But the problem is, in so doing, you're wasting a lot of chem, and you've got a really high probability of damaging something on the customer's property. It's just a good idea to go take a little bit of training, or, go to YouTube University. But just trust me when I tell you, less is more. You don't need a whole bunch of chem. That's why we love the Super Pump series, especially with the speed control. You can dial that down at the pump. And even if you don't have a speed control pump with the standard pump, like a red gun, a general pump gun, you can kind of skosh that back quite a bit by just manipulating your gun or your tips if you're using a traditional wand. You do not want to be throwing wide, all power all the time. That's for the rinsing portion. All right, hope that helps, guys. It's today is the 10th. Wide ass open. Daylight savings was this weekend, so look at this beautiful sunlight. It's about time to trade in the hoodies for that dry fit washing gear, right? That washing uniform. Get out there and make some money. Hope you guys make a bunch of money this year. As always, head over to southeastsoftwash.com for your gear, turnkey systems, chems, training, parts, supplies, and more. We'll see you in the next video.